welcome to Meet My Super Cool. The recording has just started. Hi, guys. Welcome to Meet My Super Cool Friends, where I discuss tech, branding, design, everything in between with my friends who actually have been sitting down and talking about these things in the DM. And now we're bringing it to light. So, for this episode, we're going to talk about AI and design, and we're going to really ask, are we losing the plot? We all have seen how persons have kind of gone off the deep end, and we just want to know how creatives are really thinking about AI and how they're actually utilizing AI. So join me for episode 2 with my homie Andre.
Alright.
Hey!
Oh God.
nothing. I'm here, not there, we're there. With everything that's going on, I thought it would be like, and especially since you are like a heavy user of it, I just thought it would be really, really great to have you on to have that conversation. Because I know that a lot of people are just talking about how it's going to ruin us, and especially when it just came up, we're all just really scared about it. Like, oh my God, we're going to lose our jobs. I know a lot of us, like me, is actually using it in our workflow. And since I know that you use it like top notch, I mean, I love hip hop. The videos come out every week, and I know because I give up all the time when it comes to be utilizing like AI video. So I just want to know from an expert what's the vibe. But first of all, I want you to introduce yourself to the crowd.
All right, no problem. So, first and foremost, Andre Millwood once again. I've been a creative for the larger part of my life at this point. Started really early, got gifted a laptop with Photoshop and virtual DJ. So hence the DJ thing.
hence DJing on a Thursday.
Right. With that, I was really heavy into the DJ scene. I just kind of came off it to go more into design. But I had both Photoshop loaded onto it by my uncle and virtual DJ. And it's interesting the conversation we're about to have because at the time I was doing art for CXC and there was no provisions for utilizing Photoshop or anything to do graphics. You could do graphics, but you had to draw. And
Mm-hmm.
I actually sent an appeal through the art teacher up to CXC. Was like, well, if we're doing graphics, can't I use the tools that everybody else who is doing graphics is using? And it actually went through. So I was the only guy in doing the art exam, doing graphics and submitted both the SBAs as well as the exams using Photoshop. So from time immemorial, I've been used to pushing the
Mm-hmm.
ball with technology.
Mm-hmm.
Probably are to what is the status quo.
Oh, that's valid. So what year was that when you were doing that? Because I remember when I did art, but like was it upper six? We had like a lone one computer, a big back computer, and like it was Photoshop on that. Like when we say like it's slow, it's I think all of us kind of had that one person who just like say, you know what, what is our field? We just bust it on a Photoshop, and just kind of make it. So what year was that when you started like at school?
This was, I think it was 2005.
Oh, okay. Zin. All right, youngin. So, all right, young boy.
Young
All
and no,
right.
he's not young anymore.
I don't say any grades, so you're good to go. All right. So let's just dive right in, right? We're coming a long, long way with Gen AI and those image gen and all those wonderful things. I think they said that like the spaghetti meme from Will Smith is like, and they say how it's progressed. Like you show how far we have gone when it comes to this. So what I want to know is like, let's talk about the development of it really, and how you think that we've been doing so far.
It's I have the privilege because again, just tell a short story. I got access to OpenAI's ecosystem in the latter part of 2022. This was just me being a whole nerd, and I went on LinkedIn and I found somebody from OpenAI and messaged them. I said, "Hey, I'm from the Caribbean. Would love to be able to test this and represent it." And they replied at the same time with a link and said, here you go." So I had access to this thing really early, and I think one, it allowed me to become so adept with it, where it's at now, it's not a fresh experience. We're in 2020,
Mm.
end of the time there. And it also allowed me to witness how this thing developed really, really fast. I can honestly tell you because I would not expect to see where it's at today when I started using it. I'm thinking, okay, well, I guess it's gonna be like another decade, based on how everything else has developed, and even that is was me trying to make the time short. But we're talking about when I just opened it and I got access to what they call DAL-E, DALLE. I think
Mm-hmm.
one that they open up the labs too. And if you try to make it do what we can do with one prompt now, you're getting rubbish, utter rubbish. So you at the time you really had to. It's interesting how and I think it's developed how I use it now, which I find is how I generally would have always engaged with the materials that we use in
Mm-hmm.
digital design. But I remember when templates became a thing, where
Mm-hmm.
people rejected that until they stopped rejecting it because they understood it helped speed up the creativity. If it is
Mm-hmm.
that you can take a template and then you customize it. That's how I was using the early generative AI, where instead of making whole things, I would make a pyramid, a block. And I was like, okay, these things that I would probably spend time building, a layer over there, rectangle, fill in, gradient, just add,
Mm-hmm.
right? If it is that I couldn't find it elsewhere. And it did it. And I was like, I kind of kick myself because it's just the nature of the AI thing. But I could have probably have been making assets and putting up on like Envato and Freepik
Yeah.
and food off of it. But I just didn't. Sometimes these things, I wrap my mind around it, but at the same time, it's like, yo, can you do that? Can you do that? And you think of it later on when everybody else starts doing it.
Yeah.
But it's the come a far away and it's going to go further. That's the thing I tell anybody. Don't think it's gonna stop.
It's on the trajectory because I feel like, all right, so apart from design, I feel like in every aspect of life, it is evident, right? So I use I use Microsoft 365 on my 9 to 5, right? And it's wild to me that when I'm searching for something, Bing is giving me the AI results first. Google give you the AI results first, right? And I know it's at a point where it's kind of messing with how we search and the SEOs and whatever. People are kind of like frazzled over it a little bit. But it's so interesting to say, even in Meta, how things are just being connected very deeply with AI at this point. And something I always tell people that it's not going anywhere. And I mean, we need to stop resisting it now. Like, just figure out how it works within your regular workflow. And talking about workflow, right? How does AI does work in the design process right now? I mean, you spoke about how you kind of had that, and I kind of can tell you're now you're really an early adopter to things based on like how you speak. So like from then and then now, how is it fit in your design process?
So there are things that I embrace that I can just one shot,
Mm-hmm.
but it's largely that I use it to build with it. So if I'm building a flyer, I don't make the flyer in AI. I make elements with it, and I just love what it can produce nowadays. Like
Mm-hmm.
I sometimes do photo shoots and create sceneries where I might create the background and then might create a mid-ground asset and then I will create a model.
Mm-hmm. Mm-hmm.
Sometimes I will take a real person, so like even influencers, like campaigns I've worked on, where I've taken like the influencers likeness, not their permission of course, um, and then set them up in outfits in poses that if I was to have to shoot that, the cost for both me and potentially the client, it just wouldn't happen. So now it's
Mm-hmm.
allowing
Mm-hmm.
is cost friendly and maximizing the execution. Not that I'm trying to replace doing shoots because there's certain things that there's just a feel that what it means to shoot with a camera. Yes, that can be mimicked, but you
Mm-hmm.
don't have to throw out traditionality unnecessarily. But what I appreciate is how it allows me to maximize my workflow based off of the economics of contract or a context.
So what does that do for like your clients now, right? So because back in the day, I mean, the dumb questions are going to ask it anyways, because we know that it's already about our time and our expertise. That's what you're paying for. But I mean, I know that even in like consultation and auditing firms, there's some conversation about the fact that AI is doing stuff now. You cannot charge me this amount anymore. Is it that where a lot of people are thinking in the terms of like the employee versus the experience? And then on top of that, that's crazy bit difficult, because sometimes people will not understand that the earlier and truly not the time spent is the expertise you're paying for. And with that said, and utilizing AI to do all these elements, because you brought up talent, and one of the things I hate, Andre, is opening up. And it's because I just don't feel like fashion should be touched, but I'm just a purist that way. But like you open up and you said the model is AI, right? So with that, like, how do you have those conversations about costing or conversations about just like the execution of it all? Are people still, and I don't want to pry into your business too tough, right? Are
No,
people kind of still okay with paying the money because they understand the expertise? Or is it there like some kickback because of talent, you're not doing the photo shoots anymore and stuff like that?
I have to preface before I give the answer. So from the beginning of my career, once again, yes, I would have done freelance, but I was always business minded. So I largely freelanced, but I was the agency. You know what that go. It was a meme.
Yeah,
So
yeah, everything.
right, and then also having done other businesses, I've straddled both the world of being the creative, as well as what it means to operate a business who might hire the creative, right?
Mm-hmm.
And to make this, to give the simple answer first, I don't have an issue with price. You kind of led to it, which is what I lead on is selling the value. One of the things that I've ensured, and I've actually done the maths myself. Not this is not something coming from anybody. So I use free pick heavy.
Mm-hmm.
I give away what I can give away, and then I keep what, of course, I need to keep to make me competitive. If I'm not gonna compete, not to do the work.
Mm-hmm. Mm-hmm.
I know the cost to produce, literally. So if I'm gonna produce a video with free pick, if I'm gonna produce an image, a photo shoot, I literally have it costed down. So now I'm able to jump into my business side and appreciating the cost, appreciating the other expenses in my business. I have now been able to price. Now, having done that, I can tell you, we don't even see disruption yet because what we would have normally charged, let's say, to do a flyer, take out, personal brand in the scheme of things, take out what it is that
Yeah.
somebody, the cost to produce is I don't even think people actually appreciate what the cost to produce has really come down to, right? So largely, I've not changed anything about my pricing. I'm still pricing the same, but I just tell clients that they can get more because I know it's not really taking anything from me, literally.
Yeah, I feel that. But then I think of something like, all right, for example, Adobe over here just raising them price like, I don't know. I would just over here just paying like $100 per month for them things, right? For things that we
Mm.
don't even use. And then you have things like Envato now actually is cutting down on their generation, only giving you 10 per month, but you're still paying
Right,
at 33. And I'm just
right.
like, okay, cool, whatever. I mean, I'll just fall back on free pick anyways, because it is amazing generation. Jesus. And then you
Pick
have
for
the
the win.
base. It is a free. It is
You know, it's funny.
free. And it does
I
amazing
did not.
generation.
I was. What did I say? I was against it. I didn't need to because I was an inverter guy all this time. But I
Yeah.
really didn't use it until they started doing this AI thing. I'm really impressed with them as a business with how they've
Yeah.
because they were not, well, at least for me, I didn't view them as anywhere up in the echelons with Envato and all the other brands. I think they just went from this to this when it comes to what they've been doing recently. Because aside
Really?
from Aside from them, it's the persons making the models themselves that free pick compete with. And
Mm-hmm.
free pick is winning based off of two things, which is how they have designed the interface and experience, and then the fact that they're
Mm-hmm.
doing everything all under that.
Yeah. But you know, for two things, they actually redesigned recently, and then the other thing is that and the redesign looks sleeker. So it looked like something that is credible. They have actually, unfortunately, put a lot of things up behind paywall. But one thing I've learned about them is that when you, if you just don't have enough credits, so when I use stock, I mean, we just throw stock over there, right? But when I used to use stock, I used to take like the images and try to find them on free, and you can get them free on free pick. But one of the things that I was, because I never had Envato at one point in time, and then I was straddling stock and free pick, and you know, Firefly is like trash. Well, to me, it's trash. So, but I went on free pick, and the generation, oh my god! And I think I still have it up as something that people can use because they have like an easy system for you to be like some creator on free pick. Like it's, I don't want to say too much, so people just bombard it and like them start like put too much thing behind the paywall. But like and what I'm actually I have a point, I promise. So like basically with all of those things, because you're paying for that plus other generation that can be done outside of the traditional design apps, which are costly, right? Do you think that be something that can even say, and we'll also have this digital services tax that's coming on board? Do you think that is a way for us to have that conversation, even though we're utilizing these different AI elements with our clients? Because I think it's a great argument as to if you can't really argue experience, if you have to order, because we're essentially spending a lot of money on these things still.
So here's the kicker: those who will be cheap as always, and those who will have value will have value. It comes down to two things, really. One, I have to talk about Canva and CapCut a little bit. I just late last year personally started touching Canva. And the reason is not that I rejected it, it's more that I realized that I have so much control when I use the Adobe Suite to do things. When I go over into Canva, I'm looking for that level of control and it's not there. But
Mm-hmm.
I had to adjust into is I don't always need that level of control. So
Mm-hmm.
I can also see where I don't advocate for it, but the reality is reality. Non-designers, we have to appreciate how they think when they can get, and when you look at it from that lens, you really can appreciate it, that perspective that they can now create flyers themselves. This is not about getting a template and the designer. You can tell the designer that you bought the template, so just tell me what it cost him to adjust that. This is me
Mm-hmm.
really picking my template. I can type, so I type in the name and I type in whatever info and export. But done. You can't fight that.
Yeah.
So, but is everybody in the world going to have the use case of Canva? No. So if it is like aiming, and I think the word here is the professional, right? If you really
Mm-hmm.
in the profession of design now, you have to now look at it that these people need people need you, and you have to to them. Or or the big R, as you would have heard me say in my story, you can
Mm-hmm.
actually design for Canva. I don't know if people know in terms of
Yeah.
creative. I don't know if all creatives know this. That you can go and create templates, the very same templates that other people will pick and use, and you get paid for that. So you just have to figure out where you fit into this because we still have a place.
Of course. I mean, I tell you all the time, like I've shown my sister is actually a Canva ambassador. I actually signed up to be a Canva ambassador, by the way. So like my sister is a Canva ambassador. I know, right? There's a guy I follow on their social design, something social design. I think he's actually a designer, a graphic designer that converted to a Canva designer, and he's an affiliate. This kind of person is called an affiliate. And we discussed a lot. Her work is really good for somebody who sits in the Canva space, like excellent if you ask me. she took the time out to learn how to use it, and she has a creative brain. But one thing that she also did is that she actually learned, like she taught herself design principles. And I think that is the fundamental thing that is missing. You can't pick up the app them and don't know. It can't be just like all vibes. So like people like us, it's ingrained in us to kind of see what things look good, and we learn some of the concepts, we can bastardize the concepts, right? We've been doing this for 10 plus years. So we have been in the space. Canva, I will say, yeah, it is very limited, but I actually been owning Canva Pro from time because I was not going to teach myself motion graphics. I just no baby, ain't gonna happen. So I just like, yeah, I'm gonna just pick up a Canva and say, well, I'll go on this now. And it's a very hard and slow learn because you're so used to Adobe, right? You're so used to what Adobe can do. And you're so excited when Adobe said, yeah, man, I'm gonna give you all like Adobe Express. It's like Canva. It is God go with them. Let me just drop that. But in general, what you're gonna say?
You might want to check out CapCut.
I actually used to use CapCut, but I actually use for all of the stuff that you see on my page, I use edits. I use Instagram edits up to all of my
Mm.
stuff. And it works kind of like
I
CapCut.
haven't played around.
It is so smooth. And then on top of that, so it you know the algorithm now favors edits because they want to force you to use the app. So that is why I actually use
You
it.
know,
Huh?
no, you know how them like to force it to use them stuff. Yes.
Right? But it's smooth. All right. So and then and another thing, we're off topic, but we're gonna go on topic again. I promise. So basically, what it is, is that they do have these title things, the same thing. 'Cause you know how Mark's there, right? So like
Mm-hmm.
he does have the title things and stuff like that. When I learned how to do, the thing where like the wording behind people using the overlay feature, the masking feature. But then I was
Right.
like, I wonder what this button does. I was like, I can do it. So I mean, and it's comfortable. And one thing about me, I mean, from even my paintings that I used to do, I will always tell people I'm very stuck on whatever is simple. My designs are mad simple and clean because I don't like excitement. When I used to paint, it was always green, red, and yellow because it's enough Rastafarian flag. I'm gonna know them going color that work together. If I went to use blue, it's probably blue and purple. But promise you, you're not gonna see nothing outside of that. My designs
Right.
are so much like that because I now thank God for like a Pinterest, so we can just like keep color thingy swatches or whatever. But yeah,
Mm-hmm.
but it's to me it's and then Canva now has this. Oh, and by the way, shameless plug. I have a whole blog about how like I feel like Canva can take over Adobe space, but and they're actually failing because they're having a little problems, some problems in the space. So bigger things are going for them over there. So, but I'm
The whole
not trying
space
to
being
say
disrupted.
I mean, it's not even just AI. Is the fact that like programs like Canva that is easy to use, right? And once you have basic design knowledge, you can make money from it, or you can use it. Clients, it's easy to give clients like templates from it because their Canva is what they will know and like go to work. And it's so simple. And my sister said that she's actually been using Canva AI and she said it's really good. Like the other day, like I think I kind of broke it. I think I was too prompt engineering for it. So it's just like I don't know how to do that.
Right.
But it's very easy to use because I asked him to do like a motion graphic for me, like a kinetic. And it was like, just give me what you want. I'm just can mass it out. So I think I went try it without some additional stuff on there. But it's such an easy tool. And then when you infuse things like AI with that, because Figma has the same AI thing with them there. As I said, it's just infused all over the place. It just helps processes. So with that said, like, do you think that AI has actually made your process better, made your designs better, or it's kind of just like, you know, there's something there that you just don't want it to do?
So yes, it has made output better. Because that's the interesting thing about this all. It's not just that it makes things easier. It's where there were limitations. So I've always had a mind. I've been able to do it when I've gotten that level of capital behind projects that I've worked with clients on. where you're able to then, have those assets. You can do the photo shoot. You can put the banana clips and make it spin around and stuff like that, and then place it. Because AI now allows you to produce that without having to do all of that. I'm able to now make my output look a lot more consistent along that level versus where we work on a project and the budget is this much versus this much. So then, as much as you have the capacity to produce this, because you don't have the assets that were produced at this level, your work might at best look this because maybe you know over adjust the grade and the number
Mm-hmm.
of things. There's only so much you can do with not high level quality. So when you're able to then, I'm gonna use the word cheaply produce high level assets, then the world is yours. There's no limit after that. And as I said previously, at base it comes back to the application of the principles. And I would say the two different set of principles. You have the principles of art versus the principle of design. Once you know
Mm-hmm.
those and you can apply it and then understand that, because this is the part, this is the very interesting part. And I think daily people are discovering that there's so much more that they can imagine or think that this thing can produce once you can communicate the vision. Is that there are people who it's because they just didn't think it why they're not producing it at this point.
Mm-hmm. Yeah. So of course I have a question. So like of course I have many questions. So like in terms of your prompting, right? How good are you at prompting right now? Because I've seen some of the stuff you do for I Love Hip
So
Hop and I cannot follow. I would need about 10
I'll
million
share I'll
prompts.
share I'll share the secret because at this point it's weird things I've done is gone beyond that secret. So
Mm-hmm.
whether you know this or not, whether you do programming or not, this is how you get actual control with prompting. And the acronym, because it is an acronym, is called JSON.
Mm-hmm.
JSN.
Yes. Mm-hmm.
You can write out your prompt as you always do in your English, and then you could then ask, let's say, if it's ChatGPT, if it's Canva, and ask it to turn it into the JSON. And when you read that, you have an appreciation as to how the AI actually reads your words. So if you need to tweak something to the JSON because you need it to be specific, you can then do it at that point. Where when you just type out the English, you are hoping that it understands it.
Yeah.
So once you get that done, maybe I'm making it sound easy, but I think
Mm-hmm.
easy doing it and practicing at this point
Mm-hmm.
because maybe you don't feel comfortable reading.
Mm-hmm.
But we're not talking about reading programming languages here. We're talking about it's just how it structures the message and it uses
Mm.
braces and colons. So you the more you read this and is the more you actually understand what the computer reads. So it would say scene, you'd have curly bracket open, scene, colon, green trees, black person, blue waters, beachside. And then you would be like, oh, that came because I told it that I want it to put a black person by the beachside. So you are now seeing how it translates it into how it speaks. And then you can then adjust or speak to it as it speaks. That's it, really.
Mm-hmm. Mm-hmm. Okay, because I know an inverter. Because as I said, lazy girl. So I will type it in, and I always an African American. I really need to get over that. So like I'll type it in, and then I'll pick like the nice little magic wand thing. When
Improve
I
prompt.
read, how it know, what's up, how it know, right? And then it's always best to read it though, because sometimes it's interpretation that it have, or based on whatever people would normally write, right? Because all I have to remember that AI is it's literally is what the computer is programmed to understand, right? So I will go in and I'll look at it and I'll probably delete some stuff or add something, change an expression. And then I say generate six on landscape or portrait or square and I get my thingy. Yeah, I remember like I was doing a flip book for Gen X for digital, the digital Gen X flipbook, and I couldn't get the background. And I love it so much. I couldn't get, and that's when I started like, oh, I can do all these things. So like I couldn't get the carnival background. I look and feel the carnival background that I wanted. I couldn't get the things that I wanted. And of course, as we all see in from the Caribbean, we can't get the black people that we want. It's like 5 black people in stock. And like I was able to generate and do the background for all of it. And I think that is when I was just like, so I really sit down here, not utilizing this thing to its full potential just because. And then when I figured, and I was doing like some social stuff for a client, and I was able to generate the scenes that I wanted. And then when Envato said, "Oh, click a button and we can make a video," click a button and make a video. But then no, them cut them still on over here, so just confined with the tent. So now I kind of stress out. But I mean, it's amazing how your workflow can be significantly improved, especially when for us in the Caribbean, it is so difficult to find elements, stock that will is for us. So you're literally building out these things. And
Right.
I mean, nowadays everything used to be very like Eurocentric. Like even the black people looks very white, right? But I find that no, if you really understand the prompt technique, you're able to kind of manipulate how things look. So people start looking like you. And a question I want to ask, but I'm going to think I'm going to get back to it because you did mention about talent. It's one of the talent questions I wanted to ask. So we might just jump to that. Um, there are a few, and I don't want to say the brand here, just in case one day either of us will have to work for them. But there is a brand that you have started utilizing AI heavily,
Mm.
and it's a brand that's it's very much. Cause we have enough family brands in Jamaica, right? We
Yeah.
love a family brand, and but they have that level of family, like that kind of togetherness kind of thing. But
Right.
I've seen that they started to really be heavy on the AI usage. Do you think because of that it can break down that brand loyalty or break down that kind of connection with the potential consumers of the brand if you just use like a
So
lot of AI?
the answer is yes, and I would go further to speak to something else that me and you um, are able to conversate on, which is understanding how branding works and then understanding personas and understandings. So no matter how much me and you will embrace this, we have to understand how the world perceives things, how they are also fed things, how they also may be ignorant, and I don't say this disrespectfully, but more so what the word actually means that they are ignorant of some of the things, whilst they might be sticking into certain ideas. You know, they might be still be being fed, oh, AI is killing the environment. Um, that has been debunked in terms of how water is used versus how they're told or the idea they're given how water is used. So they're still here and we're moving ahead and we're getting up and the person who are looking to use this is like, oh no, but that's not true. No, the people them not reach up yet. So the key thing there now, and again, this is where the value comes in the humans, is these brands, whether we're talking about the one who did and the ones who are thinking of it, what they need to do is find persons who know how to use the AI where it is not so, for use the Jamaican term, brawling or evident is that it is AI that is being used. Because once the persons who are doing it know how to use it correctly, persons really can't tell. I've done it. I've done it. If you utilize it correctly. Again, one of the key things is
Mm-hmm.
that persons might be going into it, the respective AIs and just giving it one prompt and trying to get the one output versus taking your time and building out the scenery. Where, well, now AI is way better with text. But when I started with this thing, AI could not spell out. No, matter of fact, they couldn't. It's not even spelling. Like words just don't look like words. They look
It look
like hieroglyphs, right? Like
yeah.
something you draw upon fridge, like caveman drawing. So from time, I just knew that don't make any sense. So I'm gonna take from it what I can make sense. So it can make illustrations, it can make animations. Sometimes it can make the person and come out at the time, and it don't look like it's 3 fingers or 5 fingers. We don't have that issue anymore, right?
Mm-hmm.
I was using it from that was the issue, and I never had the challenge of persons coming to say, "Hey, you're using AI, and I support this thing that you're doing." The clients never even knew. I didn't have to tell anybody. As far as they're concerned, I got the assets are created. Well, what I told them, which in some breath is true, in some breath the AI did it. But I told them I created the assets. As far as I'm
Yeah.
concerned, I did that.
But you did create the assets. It's not easy to do this. You're
Right.
literally like painting a picture. Like that's literally what you're doing, but you're just using like words to
The
paint the
other part,
picture.
the other part of it now is you can tell when people are cost cutting, or you can tell
Mm-hmm.
when brands are cost cutting. So don't make it feel like a cost cut. Make it feel like an amplification, right?
Mm.
Times them cost cut, and it's not just that the visuals is AI, but you can tell that there was not much thought put into that.
Mm-hmm.
So the verbiage, the story, the message, the emotions, those things that are supposed to be thought of, you can tell that it's not that thought of. And what people then lay back to is to say, hey, oh, it's AI. No, it's not that it was AI that was used. It's that the first thing was just as cutting. So for
Mm-hmm.
whichever brand is seeing this, it's yes, you can figure out how to make things more economical, but I think you should still strive to keep your brand quality to where it was or to be making it better. Because
Mm-hmm.
even in exploring the use of AI to do everything, as I would have said earlier, they can definitely do a lot more. So if it is that you need to spend less, you don't need to sacrifice quality. Or at the very least, what does it mean that you're spending the same amount but you're doing even more?
Mm-hmm. Yeah, 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 yeah. I fully agree, because I feel like especially what you're seeing now, a lot of I need to know where they're doing this. You realize there are a lot of flyers that look exactly the same right now.
ChatGPT.
Oh my days. Like I just want people to release.
This let me can describe the feel of it. It's very noisy.
Oh, it's so noisy.
If you're going for if you're going to Photoshop and go and filter noise is nice,
That
sharpen, and you turn
yeah.
it have that look.
And it just and it's this fact
And the text
there is
also has the
it's
same look because
weird and it's all the same size, right? So every all the text the same size. Oh, and then you have when there's a purple version of it. It's very sparkly purple version. And I could tell the colors because people use the same colors. And there is also like the brown with the sparkles as well. Like a lot of the glitter thing. And I know that there's a way that you don't have to have all of it. But it goes back right back to design principles and stuff. Because to me, if you were just to build it just to get the background, just to get the background. And then you use that background after you've perfected it, drop it in Canva, add some minor elements because Canva already have templated elements anyways, and then add using design elements, which Canva, I think Canva all about design school or something. Add like the different things to it, you would have a perfectly good file. I want to say like great, but you can have a good file that you can put out into the world. But I find that we're not, especially in Jamaica, I'm seeing the exact same things all over the place because we're not we're not thinking holistically about what we're putting out. And I think that what's happening is that the brands know all the brands that are doing this because they probably cannot afford um extremely professional. Because something that people come to me, my friend and come to me and say, I really can't pay you right now. And I say, all right, me and your friend, we can build with this, right? Or let me know what your budget is like. So instead of saying, okay, let me just get it to a point and just bring in a designer to kind of help smooth it out, even a junior designer to help smooth it out, It's like you can't do everything yourself. You don't have the design elements or you don't understand the design principles. And you're just like Picasso. And I'm like, bro, all of them look the same. And the brands bleed into themselves.
Let me tell you where I get really challenged with what we're talking about here. I actually fully understand and I will actually advocate for as much of you people who are doing that or are thinking to do as Marishka said, if you can't afford it, like to hire anybody, if you can't afford the time to go in Canva and go make something, don't do it. Because if it's business you're doing, I need to get the word out, get the word out. What I don't like, and this is subjective here, let me put that caveat.
Mm-hmm.
I really dislike when people then get up after doing that, praising themselves as if they're actually
Buff
great.
chess.
Like, oh yeah, look at what I made, bro. This is where you didn't make anything. Next, this is where you get the AI did the work. You probably gave it a picture of yourself, a picture of your product, and said, build me the flyer like what everybody else would do. And this is not you doing anything. So once persons are not taking up this great ownership of creativity in doing that, I think the world will be okay. I think it actually, I don't know if a decade ago I would be speaking like this, but I think I really understand what it means for persons. Canva likes to speak like this. They will tell you that they democratize access to design. And I understand what it means to allow persons to who could not to be able to, first and foremost. So before we even get to the levels of quality and principles and whatever, some of these people just need the ability to communicate that they have something that they need to communicate. So I look at it this way. I don't expect the cook shop down the road who make fried chicken and curry gravy every day to be coming to me or even a junior designer and truly being able to afford to give that junior designer something every day, money every day to produce something for them. I also don't expect them to have the time because I know what their life is like. Them get up very early or they would have been up late the night before seasoning this meat, seasoning that meat. It's a family business. They don't do much, but they might do something for themselves. So maybe one day cooking up that fried chicken and selling to the community, send some child, girl or boy, to whichever school, and that person becomes a designer, right? But not right now. And right now, they would benefit from applying the creativity of mind to this tool to be able to make the menu look a little bit different every day. Which, as we know in Jamaica, they always change up the menu. So today, them have to do
Mm-hmm.
stripe and bean. So it's not make it look the same, make it look something. And then when I post that in my WhatsApp, if I have access to like a printer, I'm a printer, put that on my thing. I have now uplifted my business even a little bit. And that is powerful because God allowing, they would have been able to get a market share. Then they will have a need to invest in brand because brand, as me and you appreciate, is how you actually own this market share. Because at a certain point, let's use Pete's. Let's use Pete's. Pete's have a brand. Pete's a cook shop, you know. You know what I mean?
Which piece of peas
Don't
with
find
the
you.
with the very the fat font and the guy with the
Right.
I think it's have like a server. But you know what? I'm gonna stop you right there. I'm gonna tell you why I'm gonna stop you right there. First of all,
Yeah.
I have seen some flyers for fish fries, etc., etc., etc. There's a man around a corner that can design for them, and they will find a man around the corner to design for them.
True.
So that is it. And I get and I understand. Don't lose your peak conversation, And
No,
I
man, this is
understand that. All right. So I understand like the access to design and the pace of it, and the fact that you need things right now, right? Nah, Sani. But I also think that there are ways to do things that
certain.
don't have you bleeding into other things in the market, right?
Certainly.
Because I feel like once you have things like a IG, once you have things like a Facebook, you can have other things as well.
True.
And I'm not saying that the cook shop is going to now go out a road and raise to the tea and do one bag of excitement. What I'm saying is that it is a lot to have to just kind of roll with it and just develop. Because while we call it something as brand, and let me tell you something, Jamaican people understand what brand is, right? We know the value of brand. Jamaican people are the brandiest branders to ever brand. We name fashion over style, we name brand. We understand branding because when people then come out with the black, green, and gold jersey the other day, and the
Everybody,
whole of Jamaica rise up, I
I know
mean,
one thing that I know so it
yeah,
could
right? I get it. Big up Bob Marley all day, every day. Thank you so much, Bobby. But it's also a situation where we as Jamaicans understand it because we can tell from a fish. I've seen XYZ presents and I call X da 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 da. I've seen some excellent flyers come out of that, like
I
from
must say
top tier.
there's levels to fish fries.
Okay.
No, seriously. I've had a fish fry pay me premium dollars to produce their event branding. Like there's levels. So you have some people doing fish fry and then doing like a whole heap of units that day. And then you have some people
Oh.
and this is what them doing. Believe me.
Oh, because let me tell you something. Like I am seeing some fish fry flyers, and I'm just like, or some dance flyers, and I'm just like, some other pass through that. Because one thing about me, if something look nice, me I go through, Once the branding look good, me did up on my head top. So it's almost like there is there's facilities there, and the access is probably not as expensive as we'd like to think it is. Um, I just really, personally, I just feel like while we have all this access to design, we have to, or access to the elements of AI, access to that kind of creativity, we have to kind of be a little bit mindful because it's not just, let me just drop something in ChatGPT and push out the content. You bleed into each other. Like I've seen that same black and gold swirly glitter to the point where I don't even remember. I just
Which
see
one
it.
is
Yeah, like I just see it and the purple, I just keep on seeing it. And then because of that too, and this access to design, you've seen like a lot of even the logos that they're using ChatGPT to push out as well, they look
that's the
similar.
same.
Yeah,
Mm.
they're bleeding
Can I
into each
point out
other.
I'm gonna point out something happening locally. There's a lot of new I don't know if it's rebranding of old brands or they're also new players, but I'm seeing a lot of the car salespersons having the wireframe of a sedan, like it look maybe like a Civic, and
You
then
mean
there's like
the
right, so it's like a line. The logo mark is in the
mm-hmm.
logo text, and it
Yeah.
is like a wireframe of like a sedan, like not a coupe, a sedan, right? And then like the name of it. So you will see Johnson's or Best Cars and all of them. I'm like, guys, do you guys not realize that all of their logos are coming out the same?
Cut and paste, babe. Cut and paste. It's weird. It's and it and I'm not saying, right? I'm not saying that you're gonna know, right? Because sometimes them just say, you know what, today, and I love that the entrepreneurial spirit of Jamaicans, right? We're like, you know what? We're just gonna go and do this. This is the vibe.
Right.
I'm just gonna sell some cars. I'm just gonna sell some computer parts. I'm just gonna open an internet cafe. It will come, things will match up. Jamaican way of living, right? And I understand that you just want to put something out there, but we're very bossy people. So I don't really get how is it that is a copy and paste situation. And is it that the
Can I say
thought
this?
process?
I want to cut you on this part because
Sure.
what just flying to my mind is you said something earlier, which is very true. Which is Jamaicans are the brand, right?
Brandiest
Brand
brandest ever brand.
to the most far-fetched in mucko, as they would say. Jamaican them they're about brands. But they're contextual with it. So in the
Mm.
context of what we just spoke about, yeah, it don't matter much. You know what I hear many of them say. I speak to many of these entrepreneurs. The car I sell, the food is selling,
Ah,
right?
yeah.
So it's not something that is preventing me from success as they have outlined, right?
Yeah.
So what happens generally is that in operating, in them living in this success, they will then encounter something that makes their context of success change. And that is generally when when they realize and then are so interested in then getting a proper brand developed.
Cause that's coming like more rebrand because yeah, it's true. It's true. And that's when they come to us and just like, say I have this for X amount of time and I'm gonna feel like I want a rebrand now. And you're like, but you didn't have one in the
Sometimes they'll
first
never tell you
place.
that really. Sometimes because pride, as we know, Jamaicans are very prideful. They'll never come to
Mm-hmm.
us and tell us this actual story, but they will probably tell them friends.
Mm-hmm.
So if you're friends with these people, generally you will learn from them when they encounter these things. But if you're just a professional, because they don't want to see, they never want to debase themselves. So they will come.
Yeah.
I just felt like it's time to step up my image. They
That's the
didn't
vibe. That's the vibe.
they didn't feel that way before. I can tell you.
Yeah.
A major brand, I call it because it's very
Of
expose
course.
something.
Of course. Of course.
There's a major brand that I was very impactful in how their branding increased. And I discovered that they really went into it because when they were trying to compete, the market, so now the market actually was saying to them, yeah, but you're just this. Why would I be trying to treat you like this? So when they heard that now, that is when they realized, oh wow, if we really want to increase our position in the market, we will have to invest in these things. So
Yeah.
the truth that all of us as creatives need to appreciate, especially when we're working with brands in this regard, is that need, business need, just because you're a creative, business need doesn't disappear in from their side. You can't just go to them and say, hey, but you're supposed to want something this great. No, they need a business need. So it's either the business need get developed on their end and then they come to you, or
Mm-hmm. Mm-hmm.
when you go to them, you're able to implant that business need upon their minds so that it is preemptive rather than reactive.
Yeah. It's kind of like Inception in a
Yeah.
way. That's a
Psychology,
really
there's a lot of
great
psychology.
point. I tell people all the time, we're just like I posted something the other day, and then like somebody said like 100 like designers are not strategists or something like that, and one of our designers like, oh, 100%. I was like, bro, do you understand what we do? Like the level of strategizing that we do is ridiculous. Bringing it back though, do you think though that if they tinker enough to perfect AI in this way, they're able to, of course, with assistance of us, because then I'm all for us making money. They're able to fine tune the branding away. Like when they come to that point, like,
Certainly.
oh, I need to like, okay, expound.
You already spoke to where it has happened outside of AI being the core, which is Canva, right? So that's would have to reinvent the wheel in that sense. Canva would have set up an environment. There's the brand section, and you create the brand assets, and you create the templates, and then if whether you are reusing that because it's approved upon, or they are allowing others or they themselves are utilizing it. This is the experience that is going to go into, let's say, AI, and they may not even view it as AI. It's just AI baked in. Canva is probably already doing that. I'm sure they're doing
Mm-hmm.
it. So it's gonna get to the level where also I will touch on something that is extremely recent, maybe a week or two in its development, where these guys created what is called now the agentic experience, right?
Mm.
And what it is getting to know is that it's not just user speaking to the AI and then the AI produces. No, it becomes user defines why an AI exists and then it does the work. So what you're gonna find now is that people like me and you, we're gonna have to train the AI agents so that when a business case, because which might be an AI, by the way,
Oh.
it speaks to the agent. So we're not even talking to the client anymore. We're talking to AI, and the AI is just representing us, producing as us, and also guiding the client as how we guide the client.
Yo,
And
the
then of course,
agency model is crazy right now.
and you might find that the agent is limited to what you have put into it. So let us say that is the low cost way of interfacing with us now. And if you need something really custom, you still have to call the human. That's where we're at now. And I don't even know how long that is going to remain the case because at the rate this is moving by the end of the year, this year.
End of the year by summer. So because you know that just tapped into me. So like that's to me have me thinking about like annual reports, right? I shouldn't even say
Mm,
this. But you know annual reports are like not anyway, so annual reports are really great to do.
right?
Um I'm thinking no along the lines of if I can get it to, cause you can design, right? You can do, that's what you're saying, you can design, right? If I can get it to bust layout, like basic layouts of laying the things on the page, that cuts down half of an report work, you know.
So these AIs, they already do layouts because
Shut up.
they already build websites. Websites are layouts.
Jesus Christ.
Mm-hmm.
Okay. All right. You know, I'm gonna write that down.
You mentioned that
Something
you
to
don't want to
learn.
learn motion. You mentioned that you don't want to learn motion graphics, right?
Yeah.
So there's AI making motion graphics.
Yo, you just give me that, right? Because here's my vibe. I've been trying to do something for work. And every time I try it, it's like something annoys me. I know there is something that another section, for want of a better word, they told me that's what they use for their motion, and they actually do a lot of like that kind of design work. So I want to check it out. But we're gonna just DM me, just message me because I need to do that. I can't because my last resource is go on Canva. Actually, yeah. So what happened is that I actually had the script, like the breakdown of the video, because I asked Gemini to help me out. Because one thing about me, I'm gonna utilize all of them, you know. I asked Gemini to help me out to execute it, and I tightened it up and I dropped it in Canva. Because Canva is like, all you have to just tell us what you want, give us a step by step, play by play, and we just produce it. I think something in there had some copywriting. That's why it stopped. It had some copywriting. That is why. But in essence, I need to do some motion work. Because one thing I had no intention of learning After Effects. And who, first of all, it looks so intimidating. Firstly, I'm just a girl. I'm just a little painter girl. I paint and I make things beautiful. I don't have any time to learn. Like me learning what it name Premiere to the basic like the other day, I learned how to like use templates from Envato. And you can't tell me that I'm not like a first class editor right now. My thing gone straight a lead. So it's almost like it's very difficult. So for persons like me in the design space, because you know we're also needing to do all the things. Um, it kind of helps us to kind of stretch our legs in other directions. Because even something as simple as me wanting to learn how to do app development, I figured out that if cause vibe coding is a thing, I figured out if I just run to, I forget what app name, I can just max out an app. I actually built like half an app. Of course, my fixation is now gone, so I have to find it back. But like I built out like half an app off of vibe coding. The things that we can do in our space and to learn that there's something that has the ability to just half the work for us is the greatest thing ever. It cuts down on time, but as I say, it doesn't cut down on experience. It's 10 plus years in this to understand the fundamentals of it to make it come out looking professional. So even if we're out here utilizing AI, it doesn't, it's a tool in the process to make the workflow smoother. It's like when Adobe decided I'm gonna do like remove background and it crisp. By the way, let me tell you something. When I sit down over there now, I use Canva, right? I use the remove background tool on Adobe and I use it on Canva. Canva got the smallest thinnest hair.
Canva
Canva's
really worked on that.
Jesus.
Canvas,
Like
Canvas remove background is better than CapCut's remove background.
it is crazy to me. Like that woman
Really,
is
really.
worth her billions of dollars. She
And I
is
cannot.
really
And
good.
if you really think about what, as we were speaking about Canva, there are certain things that they're really focused on to make it better than others, because
Mm-hmm.
that is what the edge. I think about the average person, how empowering to them it is to do that one tap remove background and it is clean in comparison to somebody who in Photoshop know how to get the hairs and everything. They don't even need to know all that. They just do something.
Exactly. Yeah, and it kind of segues a bit into what I'm saying. So I was like watching this reel one time about this lady that she was talking about, well, multiple reels, right? They talk about how like the graphics back in the day, like even in like cinema, was so much cleaner than what we have now, right? I think it's because we have this one button mentality as opposed to back then when they had to be more innovative, right? Do you have any thoughts on that, especially when it has to come with AI now? Because of course now we have more aspect to quick things.
Definitively. And it's really simple. Let's go back even further than what this woman was speaking of.
Mm-hmm.
Every era in film, because I'm going to keep it specific there, had a look and feel. And that had to do
Mm-hmm.
with technology, because we have to remember film in and of itself, when they were calling it moving pictures, was
Mm-hmm.
technology. Before that, there was no going to the movies or anything like that, right? So everything has a look and feel. Now, I think what matters is from a commercial perspective, is are you bringing value? Let's say in this realm, entertainment, real
Mm-hmm.
entertainment, those who are consuming it. And I just have the perfect example here. You watched Avengers Endgame in cinema.
No, I didn't, but I bawled every time I watched it. I bawled when I watched it on TV. I
I
go.
have to then describe to you what it means to have been in the cinema during Endgame. And as far as I know, everybody who went to the cinema had a similar experience. People, as I said, people brought tears, people cheer.
Mm-hmm.
I don't for no second that anybody who was watching that movie thought, hey, how come they're using so much CGI and not more practical special effects?
Yeah.
No, no, let's be real, right? And applause to practical special effects people. What the movie name where Nolan do where it was straight special effects? I think it was Tenet with Denzel's
Tenant.
son. Yeah,
Yeah,
right. It was
tenant.
right.
All of we can't understand it.
Beyond understanding it from the film perspective, boy, I appreciate there was no CGI used there, right?
Yeah, he doesn't
And
like
praise
CGI any at all.
praise to that. But come on, praise to Nolan and how he's able to produce at this day and age in that. But not everybody's
Mm-hmm.
gonna get budget, right? And what we're talking about is
Yeah.
happens now that somebody, because this is where we're really at now, like as you rightfully say, maybe not even the end of the year, maybe July, we're gonna start seeing films that is produced purely by AI. As a matter of fact, they're
Mm-hmm.
already making one and two short films online. I think my mother and I was watching something earlier, and I think me and my business partner was here. We were talking about stuff, and then even look up and it was not AI. It was like a YouTube, but it was like a movie. And then when I watch it, and I know that AI, and if they did something different, it wouldn't be so obvious, because what happens is that every time the scene, if like they be in one scene, just like a man you talking, but the camera kept shifting all over the place. So obviously that person never had
Oh.
grown to make sure that this was done in a way that was considered. Like in film, there's something we
Mm-hmm.
call the 10. There's a rule called 10, 30, 60. And that is where you have cuts that is 10 seconds, you have cuts that might be 30 seconds, go back to 10 seconds and 60 seconds. And that makes you feel like you're watching a film rather than something that was just arbitrarily stitched together. Right? But
Oh.
yeah, picking up on that, it looked like something that Pixar would make. Right? Now, briefly going into that, you know the story of Pixar.
I know the story of Steve Jobs on Pixar. I know the Toy
That's
Story Pixar. Okay.
actually
Okay.
even more important that you know that it's Steve Jobs and
Yeah.
Pixar, because Pixar was really, most persons would think it was an entertainment project. No, the man was still in the technology realm, right? And he was just
Mm.
looking at technology from the Walt Disney angle of things. How could I leverage the graphic engines of that day to produce films much cheaper than if I was to shoot a film? And it's the same thing Disney did do more, if anybody understood that, because it was cheaper. Anybody like, and I'm gonna say study animation, but if you've looked at those documentaries, you
Mm-hmm.
understand. Have you ever seen that meme where it is Bambi and I think 100 or whatever, and Dalmatians or whatever, and they have the same walk sequence. So all they did,
Yeah,
they
the bit Jungle Book and
right,
yeah,
Bambi,
yeah. So there are a few sequences and even Jungle Book and Robin Hood meant no. Mm-mm. Jungle Book and Robin Hood they have a similar dance sequence and stuff like
right,
that. Cause all Disney did was just copy like draw over it.
right,
Automate that's automation,
exactly.
legit automation.
And Walt discovered that, and the Japanese when they did anime, them never take that up because they still did everything. This guy was
Yeah.
like, yeah, different music, different character, different context, but
Mm-hmm.
we don't really have to do that over. So let's just do this because the value was still there.
Yeah.
Spirit of what was made is still there. So I'm telling you that I did, I don't know how the world will manage from both the consumer end and the end of, let's say, the corporations, but
Mm-hmm.
this is already out of the bag. As them say, it's like fire. When man invent fire, them couldn't uninvent fire. They already know it exists now. So there's no question,
Yeah.
gonna just go further and further. And I don't even think we can imagine where where what we perceive as a ceiling. I think we need to appreciate that it might be 100 times higher.
Mm-hmm. Mm-hmm. Definitely. I mean, there are a few floating conversations. I just saw something today about Figma has lost a lot of value since their IPO. Apparently, people are um the the investment that people fast track made in AI on a business standpoint is not getting the best return on investment. But I think that's because they didn't do the Gemini approach. Because for what I understand, Gemini was sitting on there for a while, but they watched the market, understand the market, and that's why Google will always dominate. You know, so Google literally kicked out Firefly out of Adobe. One day I just woke up and I just saw Nano, and I'm just like, what do you mean? Yeah, so it's like it's almost like I think a lot of businesses moved too much, too fast, and not at pace when it came to AI. But I mean, rightfully so. AI is something that we've gone out the gate. Like you can't unmake it. And I mean, there's a documentary coming out about it where a lot of leaders in AI are saying that we kind of messed up. But I also think that these tools are only at the point because we sometimes have not too smart people utilizing them. If it wasn't that, and I don't mean smart as in like you know what I mean when I mean smart, right? I just said like it's literally as like illiterate. It will fall in the wrong hands. And that's something my fear is. I mean, every time I talk about I mean you see me post about it a lot. I talk about Mountain Head a lot because Mountain Head is a great way to kind of explore what AI can do if it's done with wildest people. I mean, Sam also saw what happened when he decided that he's one to push I think their new video gen tool and he said here's my likeness and they had the man
Sora,
doing some wildest thing. Yeah, Sora, and he's like, yo, they had the man doing like some wildest thing. So I think, which is another conversation we can have another time because we're kind of up ish. But like in the sense of regulation with AI is something extremely important in even the design space. I think because it has the ability to help so much and it has the ability to damage so much. And there are a lot of different industries that's kind of like pulling back on it now. They're trying to kind of put it back into the box, but baby, it is old. It's not. I don't know which box you feel like you gotta put it back in. There's no box, babes. There's no box. The box fling with dash way and pack up and gone on the corner now. It out live and direct.
It's the world. Let me drift a little bit to address what you're bringing up. So there's this guy, Ray, I don't know if I pronounce his name right, Ray Dalio.
Mm-hmm.
He's founder, I think he still runs the largest hedge fund in the world. And his investment strategy is generally about history. So he, in investment, they will tell you that they invest like assessing the market from a 10-year period or 30-year period. Now
Mm-hmm.
this guy assesses the market from a 500-year period, right?
Mm-hmm.
Um, and when he speaks about where we are presently in the time, it, it shows one that he definitely has a great understanding of humanity and the history and how we in history repeat things.
Mm-hmm.
And where we are is where we were as humanity when automation factories were becoming a thing, right?
Mm-hmm.
And factories becoming a thing into the automation, literally, if you think about what it used to be and what it is now. No, normal, right? But then it was literally just like this AI thing, disruptive. Disruptive from the perspective of the consumer learning that these things go on a conveyor line, pour, screw, squeeze, label put on, next. And the thought of that, as well as the jobs, because automation would have now affected a lot of the jobs, which affected the family and their homes. So therefore, the persons in the homes affected by automation would also have a negative disposition to
Mm-hmm.
until the market adjusted enough where there were new types of jobs. So now the job is not doing the assembly work yourself, but is to ensure that the machines and the automation is working as it should, which maybe we don't need as much people here, but we free up people to do other things, right? We free up more persons to do art.
Yeah.
And because there's more consumption, because essentially more consumption occurred because more productivity occurred.
Mm-hmm. Mm-hmm.
If we think about what is happening with AI, what we should just all collectively, even the persons who just need to put their voices forward, need to ensure that it is directed in a way where productivity is increased, but the ability to consume is maintained or even also increased. Because maybe the people who are working can get paid more. It doesn't mean that there's less,
Mm.
or it also means that there's more units, so there's more sales per unit. So what does it mean that let me touch music for a second. Both of us love rap, right?
Mm-hmm.
There was a time when you putting out an album with 7 songs would have been a grand um thing to do.
Feet. Yeah.
But now you have man putting out like when Kanye would have said he made 5 beats a day for 3 summers, right?
Mm-hmm.
This is a man that barely had money. His parents barely had money, but then probably save up enough, do a little hustling and buy a little MPC beat maker. And then sit down and man, beat. It's just where technology goes. So I think persons just need to be real with themselves also. In that
Yeah.
history has already happened. God forbid, because when I said things can go wrong, but God forbid the man go make Skynet for real, right? I think if they don't do that, we'll be fine. It might be even a more wondrous time because there's so much more creativity. Like just even talking about movies as we brought up Endgame. The fact that Endgame exists, I've been a comic book fan forever. And the fact that Endgame
Mm-hmm.
exists, knowing that I would have been reading comics from in the 90s and I never envisioned that there would be a whole universe now where it's not even just the movies that these guys are making TV shows. TV
Yeah.
shows are movie quality, by the way. If you noted
Yeah.
that, right? So they're not downgraded and it feel like. no disrespect to Agents of Shield as much as I love it, but Agents of Shield is definitely a TV show. When you started to look at Loki and you started to look at some of these other stuff that have come out later, it's not these are not shows. These are movies cut up into episodes.
Yeah,
So
digestible episodes.
well, I don't know if I said that is because some of them was an hour long, some of them was an hour two.
I
But
mean, the way the world are run,
nobody
oh,
complained.
is a oh. Yeah.
Nobody complained because again, you're getting higher quality and largely when we were getting those, we're paying Netflix, so we're paying a subscription, so we're getting that with a whole heap of other things.
Yeah, 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 yeah,
We
yeah.
would have paid for one movie, or we used to pay for one movie, and now we have a whole catalog. So
I
I
will
think everybody
catalog
just
I think we
appreciate.
can.
We just have to appreciate that technology is going to expand and
Mm-hmm.
contract might happen in a different way where something gets bigger, but now we're further apart from it to consume all of that.
Mm-hmm, mm-hmm. Yeah, I mean, I agree. I mean, to me, technology is something that we just have to move with. And I'm a big believer in the fact that we have lived this life already in a different way. We have come through. It's just really about adaptability and human beings just generally adapt. And in to me, it's all about future proofing yourself as well. You can't sit down as a designer and just say you're not gonna touch it. We do understand that there is some form of purists out there and they're just so against it. I said, but
God go with
to
them.
be very honest with you, huh? You know
God
them?
go with them.
Go
No, but say
go with
God
it,
go with
but you have because you have to think to yourself because what we are using now is a form of advancement in the tech of design, to be quite frank. Because the design coming from cutout layouts and then something, printing coming from some
printing
wildness to
press,
have what is now. It's
printing
as
press.
yeah, like what have to kind of just open up our minds. So with that says, what do you think is the future of like the design path with AI involved?
I think in the not so far future, we're gonna be doing a lot less of what we new designers would be doing, and we're gonna be doing more thinking, more strategizing, more taste making, more direction rather than execution in and of itself. Um,
Mm-hmm.
I foresee that persons might skip because for many persons, becoming a designer was what was accessible versus you becoming a filmmaker or you becoming a
Mm-hmm.
car. But now, with the very same tools, with probably some of them even cheaper in terms of subscriptions than what Adobe charges, you can make videos. You already have,
Yeah.
and to tell the truth, you already have people doing it, and they develop a following on TikTok. Like I'm sure the first person who I don't know if you've seen those videos where they what's the word is personify when you make an inanimate object alive. I forget the word,
Oh, the
but
one about how I am an apple. I do da 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 da. Da, this is my. I
right,
love it to say and the puss them, the cat them.
yes, I'm sure the first person who thought of that. I don't know if they get rewarded for it, but they're certainly a pioneer in the sense of
Yeah.
anybody could have thought of it, but they thought of it first. And
Mm-hmm. And it looks
at
so
best, I
clean
hope
too.
at best I hope that in them being first, they would have then probably had like a page or pages that grew to a high
Mm-hmm.
follow, right? So they're able to shift that attention into something else. Where I will land with this. What you might find is a lot more persons playing the game of acquiring attention to then make money versus trying to make money because now it is easy to create to get attention. Where in the past, to do this type of creativity, you would have to have gotten the money first.
Yeah, 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 yeah. So it's an easier access and barrier to entry. Well, barrier to entry because we actually you
Right.
don't have barriers anymore. You can start it off with something that's free, then you spend like a little what $10, $20 depending on the level, as opposed to the $70 that Adobe charges us every single month. Do you use all the stuff? You use all the programs in there? Like what's the
Unfortunately,
percentage?
Adobe still have me, so yeah, they still get money out of me. But
Like yo, them stress me out every month. I like what I think one day I was at the nail tech and I was paying my nail tech, and then like I looked at my account, and you know our exchange rate, right? And I saw $11,000, and I just said, "Yo, Zine, the
Radam.
price of being a yo." I was instantly depressed. I
Yeah,
was like, "What is the price of being a designer?" Like you're over there, just like,
design.
Lord God. So all right. So then, do you think then, because we've talked a lot about like we've kind of delved into AI slap, quote unquote AI slap a little bit, and we've also talked about just what would make design great. Do you think that taste, because it's all about taste, right? Do you think that taste can be like taught, or is it something that's just like within us? Are you
I think we've
frozen?
already
Oh,
been teaching, and when I say we, I mean humanity collectively. We've already
mm-hmm.
been teaching taste. When you socialize, we've already been teaching, and that is I speak for humanity in general. We've already been teaching taste. So it's not a matter of if taste can be taught. Where I do see challenges is when we have a lot more person. This whole thing of following the trend has become a lot
Mm-hmm.
popular in especially since TikTok has done the shift from the social graph to the interest graph. So where what I don't necessarily believe can be taught, it has to be chosen, is to do independent thought, right? And then in doing independent thought, applying taste to create. Where I think is already happening is that we have dependent thought, and then creativity is then applied to what is trending, what is already going. But
Mm-hmm.
where we may find that we will need to be taught is what it means to think independently.
Yeah, 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 yeah. I feel that. I feel that. We definitely need we need to catch up again. 'Cause we need a part two because we have so much other things to talk about. Can I tell you? So
Definitely.
the man would I have so many other things to say, but So in terms of what would in terms of like a junior designer, somebody that wants to get into design, especially in this state of like the change technology, AI, whatever, what would be like advice you'll give them?
The advice I'll give them, I'm going to paraphrase from an email that I don't remember which tech company it was, but I thought that email captured what the spirit of everybody should be. And the email he sent out was, what you thought was work is no longer work. What you thought was
Mm.
hard is now what is work. And excellent work is what is now is hard work. So anybody who comes tomorrow, the next day, thinking that what was is still what is, you are obsolete.
Damn.
Simple. Simple,
Damn.
because if I can tell at this point the AI to design for me, what is the use of a junior designer? What I need is a senior designer so I can be head creative there. And
Yeah, your creative director.
just outline and ensure my senior designer knows what is needed, right? Because at this point, being a junior, that's what a junior designer is now going to become. So you
Yeah.
need
Just talking about
so,
the AI.
so knowing, and of course, the things that was is a necessity baseline now. So if you really want,
Mm-hmm.
you definitively need to know what junior designers would have need to learn to become a senior designer. So you certainly need to know the principles, and you certainly need to know how to break the rules to really be creative. So now, since you're not needed to execute, wouldn't want it to lead, then that is where what your work is going to become. So everybody needs to know, appreciate what it means to lead design, not just design.
Design. And that's why I say like I don't think we understand what it means to do what we do. I think we downplay ourselves so much. And I think especially in the space where AI is here now in the way it is, we kind of need to wrap our heads around the fact that we are strategists. That's who we are. You're not just, as you rightfully said, there's no longer about just executing. We can't just execute anymore. It cannot be that. You have to kind of lead the conversation. So persons, because people go in penny pinch. so that people can see the value in you as a designer. Because we're so much more than that. I tell people all the time that a designer is a reason why you purchase what you have, why it looks like that out there. The brand positioning, yes, you have the marketing people that do all of that, but do understand that because of how we've made it look, we have amplified your brand. And is I want people to also wrap their head around that. Like, you're paying for so much more than you think you're paying for. You're not just paying for somebody thinking and just do this in Canva, making the logo bigger and making things pretty. We Once you have the design elements and you know, rightfully, if you know how to break the rules, that's what you're paying for. You're paying for somebody that I know this is what it should be, but this is how I think it should be done, so that you can get better shelf life, or you can just build people see more out there in the market as opposed to your competitor. Because with upon a copy and paste mentality, no, a lot with the for the products that are coming out, things are coming out. Once somebody sees something look good, and that somebody else are run with. Simply put, right? So with all of what we said to tie it up, do you think that we're losing the plot?
Yes and no.
Okay.
Yes, losing the plot because what I will say is that I do see the uproar. I see people negatively taking on this AI thing. They're definitely losing the plot in terms of how it is that, again, historically, we've been advancing with all the different technology that has come into our life. Where we're not losing the plot is I'm looking forward to more cool stuff being made, more cool designs, more cool creative output. If I can speak from a music perspective, I can't even imagine where music is gonna go at this point. Again, appreciating where technology came in, and give great credit to let's say our fellow Jamaican Cool Herc, when he
Mm-hmm.
is break the beat, right? And now we have rap, and then rap has gone astronomical with its creativity.
Yeah.
What is gonna happen now when the limits are now broken, when somebody can create an instrument, something that probably never, ever existed, but they just imagine the sound, and then
Mm-hmm.
the thought of it, oh, it's gonna have this whale sound, but crossing a line. I don't know how that makes sense, but maybe that's what it's gonna be, and it makes it. And then now we hear that in a song, and it sounds beautiful. We don't know where creativity is gonna go, but I know that it's gonna go somewhere because humans are just inherently creative. So I look forward to that.
I love that. I love that ending. I mean, yeah, for real. We're not really losing the plot. We just need to kind of steady the course. These things are going to happen. Technology is going to do what it does. I mean, as I rightfully said, the something as simple as what they were doing is literally automation right there. We just don't think it's automation. We don't think it's technology. We don't think it's advancement because it's so simple. But I mean, I
The
guess we
human,
aren't. But we aren't losing the plot.
I will also add this. Some people, as I said, some people will be losing the plot, and that's because they are not going. They're giving up from a humanity perspective. One of the greatest things in humans is perseverance. Maybe you're gonna lose a job, and maybe you're gonna have to do non-design things until this great opportunity comes. Maybe you have been applying your creativity in your spare time, and then now you become the new token. You become the new um, George Lucas to become the new Jay Z, something. So, and if you realize the names I'm calling are persons who their creative products have become products in their own right now. So there's
Yeah.
more opportunity for us to create products versus us serving, because us serving corporations, they may not need us anymore, but humans still work in corporations, and they will have the consumption ability. So and life is always about the experience of it, not just work. Work is a part of it, and then you experience life. So maybe the people who need to go work and produce and make money, make them do that, because there's always going to be an opportunity to serve them with your creativity.
Mm-hmm. Makes sense. Makes sense. Well, thank you so much, Andre. This was a really
I enjoy it.
healthy conversation. Oh, yay! Healthy conversation. definitely we're gonna have a part two for us because we have so much more to say. And yeah, AI for the win. AI for let the people them know how them can find, you know.
Oh yeah, so on all the socials at Andre Millwood, some at Andre Millwood underscore, but Twitter, TikTok, Instagram, Facebook, LinkedIn, they're all the same.
They're all the same vibes. And you know, you can come out on Thursdays to
Yes, the
I
I Love
Love
Hip
Hip
Hop.
Hop. I
Don't
mean,
say no.
plug your stuff, friend.
Yeah,
Like
man, I love hip hop every week. Where hip hop lovers Marishka when she comes to turn up. And we're ending the February season this week, but we're going into March. And just to give a
mhm.
tease, we are. I know you're not going to like to hear this, but we are integrating for the soca lovers some amount of soca, and but we're gonna include a lot more dancehall. But everything is still sensitive to hip hop beats. So the DJs are gonna come up with their creativity in that regard.
I'm gonna give you one march. If I don't like it, I'm not coming back until the soca team. Mind you, I love soca, you know. Soca in my blood, soca in my blood. But
Mm-hmm.
I come off of the hip hop. I'm just like that, guys. But it really is good. I really enjoy going there. I'm actually gonna, cause Troy is gonna be playing, so
Yes,
gonna haul my bum bum to to Dulce just to go sign up. I'm gonna give you guys an hour because I have work in the mornings
I understand.
as a 9 to 5er. But you know, definitely going to come out because Troy always, him always shell, always shell. Big up
That's
Troy.
big up try.
Big up Troy. All right, thank you so much, my darling. See you guys later for the next one in March.
All right.
Bye.
Bye.